y'all. Surprise you, man. And I'll say today. I won't say tonight because it's 5 o'clock my time, but it's not like dark outside. So I'll still say today instead of tonight. Today, here we go. It's that time again to do the Elimination Chamber predictions. Oh, man, I wish that word went so long so it would have flowed better, but it still rhymed. But anyway, it's time for it. We're home by ourselves for now until my mom gets back. But, come on, man. Elimination Chamber predictions. Get right into it. No script. Nothing written beforehand. No notes put down. We all go off the fly, man. I feel like that's the most genuine, authentic version of myself is if I don't have anything prepared. Unless it's something big. Of course, if it's something big that I'm doing, I have to have prepared. I'm talking too much. All right, let's get into it, man. We locked in. I'm not even going to start off with a match. Let's start off with the segment that we're going to get. The Grayson Waller effect. I did see the little press conference that they did. It was all right. It wasn't nothing crazy, nothing to go home about. But shout out to Grayson Waller and Rhea Ripley getting respective cheers from their fellow Australians. But, yeah, man. So we're going to start off with the Grayson Waller effect that will feature Cody Rhodes and his girlfriend, Seth Rollins. If you didn't catch The Rock's WWE.com, it's on Twitter and YouTube. They have recorded him talking about, you know, let The Rock know if Seth and Cody say something wrong on the Grayson Waller effect. And he referred to Seth Rollins as Cody's girlfriend. So if you didn't catch that, that's where I got it from. But, yeah, credit to the source. Source does not trust me, bro. Here we go. So Grayson Waller has Cody and Seth. I think the only thing I can really say about that is, you know, maybe it can lead to something. I know some people are speculating a tag match between Cody and Seth versus Roman and Rock, which makes sense as a match and how it comes together, but I don't think it makes sense as far as, like, no one really can lose that match in that situation, and I don't really know what the follow-up would be for that. Like, okay, we had a tag match. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of our system, what would be the follow-up to that? Like, what would be a follow-up to that would have needed that tag match to happen for us to do this next for that story to continue? So I don't know if it's necessary for them to do a tag match, but the fact that they're both on the Grayson Waller effect, the world champion and the hottest babyface in the company, or the biggest, not the hottest, because I feel like hottest and biggest aren't the same thing. Hottest means like, okay, he's popular amongst fans, but he's not necessarily the guy that they're pushing for to be the face of the company. So I'll say the biggest babyface. The biggest babyface in WWE, and then the World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. So maybe something stems from that. Maybe The Rock or Roman makes a surprise appearance. Even though they said they weren't going to be there. You never know. But maybe they'll set something up there. Maybe we can get some clarity on why maybe that Seth backtracked and said he was going to now face Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber at WrestleMania, and he just said he wasn't. So maybe you most likely won't get clarity on that. But anyway, that should be an interesting segment if they go anywhere with that. Only WWE would have a talk show in the middle of a pay-per-view. Because, yeah, some pay-per-views will have that to where they, you know, maybe have, you know, some type of talking, but it's usually an announcement. It's usually not like a whole interview segment, but that's the WWE for you. But I had to get that part out of the way because I feel like instead of getting into the matches first, we'll get into that. So here we go into the matches. Here we go, man. We're going to start off with, like, least important or at least intrigue to most intrigue. So we're going to start off with the tag match between, I think the last time I seen their tag name, I think it was British Strong Boys, but it's Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne versus the Judgment Day, consisting of Finn Balor and Damian Priest. I think everyone knows that the Judgment Day is retaining because if you keep up with the weekly shows, it's most likely going to be R-Truth and The Miz, the Awesome Truth. They're most likely going to take the tag titles at WrestleMania. I think that's the direction they're going. Like I said, if you just keep up with the weekly shows and how they've been interjecting R-Truth into the Judgment Day and how Miz has been, you know, there to help him out, I think that's most likely what they're going to do at WrestleMania. So that being said, that kind of tells you everything before that is gaga, you know, just something to put on the pay-per-view. Now, this one I'm a little confused as to why it was on the pay-per-view, only because it'd be different if this was a tag match. I get it, right? They became the #1 contender, but I'm like, you would think this would be something they would have, like, at least for the last 2 weeks, you would have thought, okay, maybe they're building up to the tag match so that you could be semi-interested, and you can't say, well, there was no build. Well, yeah, we had a little build, but this didn't get any build at all. So that's why I'm confused of why it's on a pay-per-view, because I know they're the #1 contenders, but I'm like, you think they would have kind of built this up a little. But I think this one's predictable, considering they're most likely going to lose it to R-Truth and The Miz at WrestleMania, so everything else beforehand is just peanuts. But moving on to the next match, Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. Obviously, Rhea's going to be the babyface. I mean, it's not like she hasn't been in every other country or every other state in the world, but definitely in her own home country is going to be the babyface there. I think we know she easily retains and pack Nia up. Hopefully, they have maybe somewhere in between 10 to 15 minutes of a match, because I don't think they need to wrestle that long. Especially, it's one of those, I feel like if a match is like so predictable, you can't really, it's not doing it justice if you make it like 20 minutes. I think somewhere in between 10 to 15 minutes, that match needs to be, and Rhea packs Nia up. And we most likely will maybe get Jade Cargill, Nia Jax at WrestleMania, maybe just to give her a big win to start off her wrestling career. So I feel like that may be the direction they're going, especially when she single-handedly tossed her out of the Royal Rumble this past year. I say this past year like the Royal Rumble went last month. But yeah, I think that's the direction they're going there, possibly with as far as Nia Jax at WrestleMania. And they're most likely going to do what we're about to talk about next, Rhea versus who I'm about to talk about in the Elimination Chamber, which brings me right into the Elimination Chamber. Rhea Ripley will get a big pop for her title match. Hopefully the crowd's electric for it, and electric the whole night. But I think it's pretty easy and simple, plain and simple to say. And before we get into the next 2 matches, there's only 4 matches on this pay-per-view, or PLE, we're getting to the real review, man. Like, come on, I know we've seen a lot of, everybody's doing this, right? Preview and predictions. Everybody look at my preview and predictions, yeah. But this is the real preview and predictions, man. If all the other YouTubers out there talking about something, this is my preview and predictions. Now, this is the real one. All right, let's move on. Elimination Chamber match is going to be Becky Lynch. See, again, off the top, I don't got no script. Doing this with Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton versus Bianca Belair versus Naomi versus Raquel. Got that off the bat. Didn't even need none. I ain't need to see no screen, no notes. See? No notes. No paper. No cheating. But anyway, let's just let you know I'm doing this off the cuff for real. Anyway, let's go. You know what? I feel like instead of just saying who I think is going to win, let's go over everybody and whether or not it would make sense for them to win or not. See, I'm doing something a little unique. Raquel Rodriguez. Shout out to her. I think I've seen someone on Twitter that she was like recovering from some type of like thing that she had going on with her skin and whatnot. So hopefully she's doing well, and I'm glad that she is doing well enough to even be in this chamber match. Some people say maybe Shayna should have won and qualified for the Elimination Chamber, but I feel like if you want to build her up as a badass ever again, like they did in 2020's Elimination Chamber, there's no way she can lose that chamber match. That's why I'm like, do you put Baszler there? Because it's like, yeah, I get it. But, is it worth putting her through that? Is it worth in Perth to put her through that where she's not going to come out, or most likely not going to come out the victor there? So I feel like it wouldn't have made any sense to put somebody, kind of try to rebuild somebody that is not even going to win the match you're trying to rebuild them with. So I was actually fine with Raquel winning that, as far as like, if you're going to build somebody back up, that may not be the best match to take them into, considering if they're not going to win, why put them in it? And that, based on who you're trying to push or rebuild. But let's get into it. Raquel, she's had a comeback. Like I said, shout out to her for recovering where she has. I don't think it makes sense for her to win because, one, we've already seen Rhea. See, this is where they probably didn't realize that. We've already seen Rhea and Raquel twice. So that doesn't even make you think that she's going to win, because we've already seen that match twice. And they weren't all that great either. I feel like it's not due to their wrestling ability. Maybe they specifically just didn't connect. But we've already seen that match. I know she just came back, but Raquel isn't massively over with the audience yet. So I feel like they probably should build her more as a heel, because she's been smiling a lot. I think she worked better as just a heel bodyguard in NXT when she was with Dakota Kai. I think that worked better than her as a babyface, but time will tell what they do with her and what happens with her, but I don't think she should win considering we've already seen that match. That's not a fresh matchup. And I don't think she's gotten over enough to where the people are like, oh, wow, Raquel, we're demanding for her. I don't think she's gotten to that popularity yet. Tiffany Stratton, Tiffy time, baby. Toodles, hello, what's good? As much as I like what Tiffany Stratton has been doing as a character, I have kept up with NXT. For those who don't know, I do keep up with NXT. I don't watch like the full thing every time, but I watch a good chunk to know what's going on with who. She's been doing well. I understand that she's just now getting on the main roster, so you're like, man, wouldn't this be a cool time to, really... Man, you talk about putting a rocket on somebody. Man, if Tiffany wins, I don't think Tiffany Stratton's going to win. I think they're putting her in there the same reason why they put Montez in the Elimination Chamber last year, to showcase what this new star that we're pushing, or what we thought they were pushing Montez as a singles talent. But in this situation, showcasing what a singles talent can do. I'm sure she's going to do more of the gymnastic spots in the match. Maybe she could be the one to go to the top of the chamber and everybody catches her. But I feel like this is going to more show people what she can do as opposed to her like, oh, this is going to be our big push for her. I think they're going to make us really just think, all right, she can do this well and boom, boom, boom. So I think we're going to show more of her athleticism. So due to the fact that she just got on the main roster and the fact that that would be a heel versus heel match, even though Rio's been getting cheered, but she's technically still playing as the heel. I know it's a little confusing, but Tiffany's not going to win it. She just got there, and that would be heel versus heel. And that would be pushing somebody really fast who has, let's be honest, only been in front of a main roster crowd like maybe 2 or 3 times. So, as far as on TV. So, yeah, that would be quick if you did something like that. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, Naomi, love Naomi. I'm not saying it wouldn't make sense for her to win as far as like, she was a big return. Love Naomi. Love what she's been doing. Love what she did in TNA. Like I said, another thing I watched from like time to time. If something big happened in TNA, I watched maybe what was going on. But I was aware of what was going on with her and all things considered. So respect to her for doing what she did, doing her thing. I don't think she's going to win it. I don't really know if she's going to. Yeah, you think of it, wow, big return at Royal Rumble. I don't even know if she's going to have a spot on WrestleMania. Unless they do Naomi versus Bianca Belair, which Bianca would have to lose that. I know she's been on kind of a winning streak at WrestleMania, but even though I think she lost like a Battle Royal or something. But in singles competition, she's been on an undefeated streak at WrestleMania. But I doubt they're trying to do a female Undertaker thing with Bianca. But that could potentially be a match. Naomi versus Bianca at WrestleMania. I know they're both faces, but I think you could get around with that one. But Naomi's not going to win it just because they've never even alluded to them facing each other. So I don't think it would make the sense all of a sudden now to do it. That's just how I think of it from a booking standpoint. But that brings us to our next contender, who I just mentioned, Bianca Belair. Now, we love Bianca Belair, EST, whipping the hair around, going down to the ring, putting Pound Town on the competitors. Not like that. But you know what I'm saying? Can't spell WrestleMania without EST. Cool. And we would have loved to see Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. But, like last year, would have been great to do it, but they decided not to do that. Even though it kind of would have made sense, right? Granted, I mean, they had a great match, Charlotte and Rhea, but I think at the time it would have actually kind of made more sense to do Asuka and Charlotte because the whole WrestleMania history there. But either way, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley would be a great match and a great matchup to do both stars over in their respective forms. So I think it would be a great match. But I don't think Bianca's going to face Rhea Ripley. She's been champion for, what was she champion for, like 420 days? So I doubt they're going to have her, at least right now, go after another title. I just don't think that's going to happen. And it's not, again, another thing where, like, it's not what they've been alluding to leading up to the show. So even though that would be a believable contender, I just don't think that's what, and that is a WrestleMania caliber match. I just don't think that's the direction they're going to go there. So based off just what I've seen on the show, not that it wouldn't make sense as far as like a name is concerned. That's a freaking pretty big name to put in there with Rhea Ripley, but I don't think that's the case. which brings us to our next one. And as y'all can see, I'm getting a trend here. I'm going for least likely to win this match to most likely. So that brings us to our number 2 spot of who's most likely to win. I should have probably... I should have said that after I was done doing it, because now I just spoiled... After I mentioned this next name, I just spoiled who I think is going to win. Idiot. I'll keep that. I'm not going to edit it out. I'll keep that in. Because y'all got to see the idiocracy. Again, full genuine transparency, authenticity is going on right now. Freaking spoiled it. Liv Morgan. Love Liv Morgan. I think she's gotten better in her confidence. I think she does need to get better on the microphone and find a different character that is really going to push her to the next level. Maybe she could work as a heel. We don't know. We never seen it as like her as a singles competitor as a heel. But she's been champ before. And it was poor time in a sense of when she was like bouncing back and forth with Ronda Rousey. So that was weird. Like, because then the crowd didn't really favor Liv after she like tapped to Ronda. It was a mess the way they booked her title reign. The title win itself was fine, but the way they booked the title reign, just no. But moving on. Liv Morgan has history with honestly has the most history with Rhea Ripley than anybody else in that chamber match. So her winning it wouldn't necessarily be like, oh my God, why would they do that? But I feel like, and she had another person, by the way, at the Royal Rumble who just returned. So I can see why you would want to do that, because technically she is the last person to pin Rhea Ripley. I think that was in maybe 2022. So she's the last person to pin Rhea Ripley, which is factual. And they were tag partners at one point. I don't know if they want to tag titles together, but they were tag team partners. So there's history there, but I feel like they could tell that story maybe post-Mania, and they'll do a feud there. I feel like that could be potentially where they go with that. I don't think they're going to do it off of her winning Elimination Chamber, even though she does have the most history with her. Again, another situation of that's not what they've been alluding to weeks leading up to the show. So to not make this a 30-minute video, I'm going to try to skim through the people quicker. Which brings me to my number 1, who I think is going to win. The man, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch. So I think that she's going to win it because this is what they have been alluding to leading up to the shows. They've had plenty of interactions. Not ones that really was like, man, what a great promo back and forth. Unfortunately, they haven't done that. But they had some brief talking segments. They had one at the press conference for WrestleMania. They've had maybe 2 or 3 on Raw. But unfortunately, like I said, they haven't been in any extended promos. But like a full-on segment, them going back and forth. Hopefully that happens when she becomes the contender, because now Rhea knows this is going to be her opponent. So I think they're going to win. I think Becky Lynch is going to win. And I don't know if you would say that's a dream match, but it definitely is a big match. They've held off on it for a long time because Becky was feuding with Trish last year. So they were trying everything they could to hold this match off Becky and Rhea, because they knew that was going to be a big match. And they probably waited for people like Liv Morgan to come back so that they would have somebody for Rhea to go after she's done with Becky Lynch, as opposed to Becky Lynch and then crap. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do with Rhea the rest of the year? Because we've built nobody else. So they probably waited for people like Liv to come back so that when they do Becky and Rhea, they have somebody to put in a feud with Rhea afterwards, assuming she retains at WrestleMania. But I think it's going to be Becky Lynch. That's who they've been alluding to, and it's a big star, big power match, as you would do at WrestleMania. Star versus big star, biggest star versus biggest star. If you want to make WrestleMania Showcase of the Immortals the biggest match, right now at least, is Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley. Even though Liv has just came off a return and she has history with her, I don't think Liv has had time to get back over with the crowd like she once was. Like I said, she could maybe end up even being a heel, but yeah. But now that brings us to our last bit. I'm going to make this under 25 minutes. Got to skim through these people. Men's Elimination Chamber. We have Baba Thin Lashley, Randall Keith Orton, L.A. Knight. Yeah. And Kevin Owens, Logan Paul, and Drewithan McIntyreson, if I'm not mistaken. Did I say that right? KO, LA Knight, Logan. Yeah, then Bobby, Randy, Drew. Okay, I was making sure because it's 6 people, so you might repeat somebody. But all right, let's go back down the list of like I'll expose it. Least likely to most likely, starting with who I think is least likely to win this, Bobby Tin Lashley. But here's why. Bobby Lashley, cool dude. We know he's not the best on the microphone, but man, he's believable. Looks like a tank, hits like a tank, works like a tank, throws people around like a tank. But again, I know one of those, I'm going to keep saying this a good bit, a guy that they've not been alluding, I know they've been on separate brands, but also just a guy they've not been alluding to leading up to it. It's not fitting in his story. I think he's just going to be in this because he's in this, not necessarily because they think he's going to win. Which I think they should have fixed with the Elimination Chamber, building a lot of people up for the world title so that when you put them all in a chamber, anyone's game, right? Like, they all should have been alluding to Seth Rollins and talking about, even if they're not on the same brand, right? We should have, because Drew's the only one on Raw, which Seth is on. So he's been the only one. I don't know why my nose is so itchy. But wouldn't have been, he's the only one on the same brand as Seth Rollins. So, of course, he'd be the only one to really interact with him. But they could have had people alluding to Seth Rollins leading up to it so that we weren't like, oh, Drew is the only one that's been interacting with him. I think they should have done better on building talent up and having them allude to going after Seth Rollins. But Bobby Lashley, I don't think is going to win it. He's in a feud with Final Testament right now of Karrion Kross, AOP, Scarlett, and Paul Ellering. And so, yeah, I don't think they're going to feud yet. Or Seth and Lashley. And I just don't think that's interesting as far as a WrestleMania match. I don't think that's necessarily setting the seats on fire and making everybody interested. Which brings me to my next one. Kevin Owens. They're both baby faces, so that just wouldn't make any sense. And even though it would be cool to see Kevin Owens win a world title, we've seen Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. Actually, we've seen it at WrestleMania. They actually had a WrestleMania match during the pandemic where they had like a part 1 and part 2 because it was like I think it was like the match ended and then they restarted it. So yeah, we've actually already seen that at WrestleMania for those who don't even know it was during the pandemic. Kevington and Sethington have competed already. And it's just least likely. Like I said, they're both faces. They haven't had any type of tension with each other. And as far as what the biggest match at WrestleMania seems for both individuals, it doesn't seem like each other. Which brings me to my next one, Logan Paul. Another one that's already happened at WrestleMania. Seth and Logan Paul, that happened at last year's Mania. Logan's already the U.S. champ. I think they're just going to have him go that direction of competing with people in that division as opposed to having him be in 2 divisions. I don't even for as much as they like Logan Paul, I don't think they would push him that fast or that hard with him being a champ already. So I don't think that's going to happen. That would be another WrestleMania rematch. And again, for both individuals, that doesn't scream that's your biggest match you can do, especially since we've seen it as far as last year. Literally not that long ago that we've seen this match. As far as because once you've seen it at WrestleMania, and it hadn't at least been a couple of years, it's, depending on the situation, you can do back-to-back Mania matches, but this is not one of those situations. Which brings me to my next one, which will be L.A. Knight. Yeah, my guy L.A., man. One of my favorites wrestling today. And as cool as it would freaking be to see that, I just don't think it's happening. They might push him in the direction of, a lot of people are saying LA versus Logan. On one hand, I'm fine with that as a feud itself, but for the U.S. title, I'm like, because if he's just been in 2 world title matches with Roman Reigns, why would the next step be the U.S. title? That's working backwards. But I'm fine with him winning a singles title, so I'll accept it for that reason and that reason only. But I think that's most likely the direction they're going to go, LA and Logan. Maybe they start that feud in the chamber match. This video is not going to get under 25 minutes. But the outro will be short. But yeah, LA versus Seth, fresh matchup, but I just don't think they're going to do it. They might have him win the U.S. title instead. Because Logan doesn't really have Logan Paul, they usually put him in there with people that are big names, and that would make sense for him to be competing against, except when he went against Ricochet. That was probably the only time that he didn't get like some type of big name to face at a pay-per-view. So for a WrestleMania match for Logan, I think he's going to be most likely facing LA Knight, even though it would be cool to see LA Knight win the world title. and would be a better follow-up after facing Roman Reigns. Wouldn't it be a better follow-up to win the world title? But again, having been alluding to each other, that's most likely not the story they're going with, even though it'd be cool to see. Which brings me into my next one. Randall Keith Orton. Randy Orton. I don't think he's going to win it. Again, another WrestleMania rematch. Oh, so wait. Okay. We've seen Seth and Kevin at WrestleMania. We've seen Seth and Logan at WrestleMania. We've seen Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. So WrestleMania 36 was Kevin. WrestleMania 39 was Logan. And WrestleMania 31 was against Randy Orton. So we've seen all these. Half of the guys in the chamber have already faced Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, is what I just realized. So Randy Orton has faced him already. That's really the reason why I don't think he's going to win, because he's faced Seth at WrestleMania already. And it doesn't seem like they have any tension with each other. So even though that would be, and it would be cool, right? It's like the only thing that really can kind of convince you he might win is the fact that it would be his 15th world title. And so that is pretty much the only thing that can sell you even a tad bit that he might win it. It's because it would be his 15th world championship, which would mean that would be one behind John Cena. But I don't think he's winning it unless, it brings me to my next point. My number one, who I think is going to win, Drew McIntyre. Unless Sammy costs Drew the match because they've been having their tension, and unless Seth or Sammy interferes into the Elimination Chamber somehow, gets in that thing and screws over Drew, unless that happens, now if that happens, Randy Orton I can see winning. So he's the runner-up will become the front runner there. But unless they go with that, I think number one, Drew McIntyre is winning it for two reasons. One, he's been talking about wanting to beat Seth Rollins, how he feels like he has to save WrestleMania, and the obvious story of, I didn't get to win the World Championship in front of people when I won it at WrestleMania 36 against Brock, when I beat him in 5 minutes, almost at 5 seconds. In 5 minutes, I didn't get to do that in front of a crowd. So he didn't get his moment to win the world title in front of an audience. And there's that story. And then he's just been doing, and he's had the interactions with Seth Rollins in general. And then the number one thing, other than that, he's been doing the best heel work of his career. He's been the most interesting heel. He's been operating well on social media, and he's been doing well on TV as promos, and you know, his matches have been fine. And like I said, doing well on the promos. I mean, doing some of the best heel promos without even getting cheap heat. Doing some of the best heel promos, and he's not even doing anything, like he's not even trying to get cheap heat from the audience. But by that I mean, you know, doing the obvious thing, right? Saying you people and insulting the local sports team. That's what I mean by cheap heat, if you don't know what that means. It's when you get boos on stuff you kind of know the audience is gonna boo you on. But that for me is it. As far as I've gone over it, as far as who I think is gonna win, why I think they're gonna win, the reasoning behind it, and I've done it, and I've talked about the matches from, to me, least interesting to most interesting, and not good, right? Not in terms of what match I think is gonna be better, but to me, what's the most interesting, I rank it that way. So I think that is it from me, man. Except the Grayson Waller segment, that's not even a match, so that's why that went first. But other than that, it was ranked from least interesting to me to most interesting. But I will see you guys for Elimination Chamber. We can do it. If y'all comment down below right now, let me know if y'all want me to do a review of the show, and I can get that going. We can light it up, entertain the people. I can't say the millions. I can't say the thousands. I would have to say the tens and or hundreds that will be watching this video. Let me know down in the comments if y'all want me to do a review of it. And that is it for me. The Prodigy is out. Peace. I'll see you in the next one. Also, comment down below, like the video, subscribe, and also comment down below if you are going to be watching the Chamber and what time will you be watching the Chamber. For me, in Central Time, it will be 4 in the morning. But I shall see you on the next one. The Prodigy is out. Peace.